handle information about the user who is currently logged in. There are ways to have anonymous users, but anyway, we need some kind of a user to be able to link the data with a specific user, because an application is being used by a lot of users and all of them are creating data, so we need the information about who is creating this data. So let's go ahead and add this user provider. And this I know for sure. Before we actually do anything, let's go ahead on our application, and under data access authentication, being inside app services, we should go ahead and first of all allow users to log in anonymously. So let's click that. Allow users to sign with. If I press on this one, it redirects here. Let's do save draft. Go back to authentication. This one is enabled, anonymous, and let's do also enable the one for email and password. Let's select it. For email and password, user confirmation method, let's do automatically confirm users. For development in production, you can send a confirmation email. Reset password. Let's do, I don't know, I'm gonna redirect simply to Google for now, because I don't really want to go into a lot of details with reset passwords, but this is going to be the URL that you want to send when trying to reset the password. Let's save draft. And I think if we go back to authentication providers, that's what we want now. Anonymous and email. Let's see in under user settings. No, we don't need to do anything. But we need some things to be changed on the whole application settings. So if I'm gonna go to manage app settings, no, that's gonna come a bit later. So anyway, after doing the changes, we're gonna see here review and deploy. So after doing some changes, we can go ahead, check the updates and press deploy. These are deploying the changes. All successful. So now we would allow authentication with anonymous and also with email and password. Whew, let's go back. So user provider should be rendered inside our application provider. User provider, and if we provide here a fallback component, const anonymous login, I'm gonna define this component that will simply say text login as guest. Let me import. What happened here? Import text from React Native. Now if I'm gonna pass anonymous login as the fallback of our user provider, what's gonna happen is if there is no user authenticated, it's going to render the fallback. So that's where we have anonymous login. Let's go ahead and actually create it as a component. Let's call it new file login.tsx. Let's move the anonymous login to our login component. Let's do export default. And actually, I will call it login, just login. Because now later on we're gonna have like more types of login. So text from native, and let's also import view so that we can align everything in the center. Instead of there should be a button. You can continue as a guest. Flex 1 and using align items center and justify content center. We're gonna make sure that the guest is in the middle of the screen. So let's go ahead and import this login from our realm provider. Import login from components login, and let's render it as a fallback of our user provider. Okay, see continue as a guest. If I press, nothing happens, but let's go ahead and see how we can sign in as a guest inside our login screen. So here on press, guest login. Let's add this function here, const guest login. And here we need to actually authenticate the user as a guest. To do that, if I remember correctly, we're gonna have the use of hook from rel react and const equal use of. Thing there should be a property login with anonymous. Let me try json.string user to a user, to be honest. Facebook, Apple, Google, use user, and then WhatsApp we have user. Let me try to simply do console log user.id. Console log user.id. So right away we see the ID of the user, of the guest user that was created for us. If we go to our Atlas dashboard, here we can go to app users, and we will already see a user with an unknown name with this ID that I just console logged in the application, and the provider is anonymous login. The thing is that the data of an anonymous user is going to be stored only for a limited amount of time, and after I think 30 minutes, the data is going to be deleted. So that doesn't mean that the local data is going to be deleted, but the cloud data. So later on in the video, we're gonna see how we can sign in with actual password, so that the user can like create an account and log in from different devices. For now, what I'm going to use this user in our task list is when creating a task, instead of hard coding this user, I'm going to do user.id. Okay. We're going to do it later, but make sure to do user.id here in the task list. This will be assigned to a specific user. Oh, that's a rough start of rel, I must say. Like, their configuration issues gave me a lot of headache, but I'm happy that now we got started, so we can continue with our plan. So let's do git commit -m setup app provider and anonymous sign in git add. Okay. And by the way, I'm now thinking like about this process of seeing a text continue as a guest. In a lot of cases that's okay, because you might want to show like a login screen and with a button continue as a guest. But if you want to right away, like when you open the application, to go to this screen without having the user to press on anything, simply console log this guest login here. So whenever the component will mount, it's going to perform a guest login and it will right away redirect there, and you might not even need to render anything. So this would automatically log in the user as soon as you open the application without him having to press on anything. I'm gonna keep it like this because later on maybe we're gonna have like a proper login screen here. But now let's continue. And what I want to continue with, as I said, is I want to synchronize the database, the local database, in the cloud. So that's my next step. We need to enable synchronization. Let me check if the documentation is of any help today, or we're gonna have to go YOLO. So Atlas App Services connect. Okay, we connected. Retrieve. Okay, we don't need that. Encrypt. No need. Call a function. Query MongoDB. No. Manage users. No. Let's go to the sync data. Atlas Device Sync automatically synchronizes data between client application and Atlas App Services backend, the backend that we created here in App Services. Perfect, that's what we want. When a client device is online, Sync asynchronously synchronizes data in the background between the device and your backend application. And that's what powers and makes this both an online and offline application, which is offline first, and only after it's happening, the data behind the scenes in the background is being synchronized with the cloud. So for that, we're going to use a flexible sync. When you select a flexible sync for your backend application configuration, your client implementation must include subscriptions to query fields. Flexible syncs works by synchronizing data that matches query subscriptions you maintain in the client application. So from the application, we're going to subscribe to data, and that's how we're going to keep things in sync, because maybe not everything we want to synchronize. That's also possible. So let's go ahead and configure a synced realm. I can configure a realm to automatically synchronize, okay, between many devices that each have their own local copy of data. We need to enable flexible sync on the backend, so let's do that. I'm gonna go to our app services, and here let's go ahead under is it going to, is that MongoDB where we want to use or where we want to write the data in the cloud. Okay, define a database name. Let's select or add a database. We don't have any database yet, so let's call it Trello. Let's create. And selecting the queryable fields, we need to make sure that we're gonna come back here